Hello and welcome to Injuries Round 10 for the 2024 AFL season. Jimmy Webster has cleaned up Frederick in a legal contest and Frederick was immediately subbed out. He entered concussion protocol, so he will not be available next week. Jimmy Webster has also been cleared for any wrongdoing, and I think that's okay by me. What are your thoughts? Miles Bergman from North Melbourne was taken out of the game with a left hamstring injury. Mark O'Connor landed very heavily here, and then after Berry seems to go down, he did play the rest of the game, but he looked like he was in quite a bit of pain. One of the Sydney players has stepped on Charlie Curnow's foot. He did hobble around for some time, but he played the rest of the game, so he should be fine for selection this week. John DeGoey landed pretty heavily in the fourth quarter against the Crows. He did play the rest of the game, so he should be fine for selection. Sam Durham was taken high by Jerry. This happened in the third quarter, and he wasn't technically subbed out, but Durham took no further part in the game, with the club later stating that he was just managed and he should be available for selection this week. Isaac Heaney got absolutely crunched in this tackle. As you can see, it did affect him for quite a bit, and he stayed out and played the rest of the game. I would have thought they would have brought him in at that point, but he played the rest of the game, so he should be fine this week. Will Hoskin-Elliott from the Pies has been subbed out with hamstring tightness, so I'd assume they'll play cautiously and he won't play for a week or so. In a contest on the wing, Robbie Fox looks like he's about to try and kick the ball. Boyd dives down and ends up tripping Fox, so it's a free kick to Fox. But as Fox lands, he actually dislocates his shoulder or does his AC joint. Either way, I doubt we will see him this week. Resulting with the scans will determine how long he's actually out for. Darcy Jones from GWS was taken out of the game with a hamstring injury. As you can see, he was testing it, but after this running sprint, he came off and was holding his hamstring and eventually subbed out of the game. Lafau was taken out of the game for Richmond after this accidental hit. He eventually had scans for what was a suspected broken jaw, but he's been cleared of that, and I'm assuming we'll miss a week or two to recover and be back. After the West Coast Eagles go inside their forward 50, there's a contest for the ball inside the square. The ball comes down to the ground and Jack Darling's going to kick it off the ground for a goal. Jake Lever tries to spoil this and accidentally gets hit in the head with the hip. And from the second angle, you can actually see his arms go straight out and stiff. So it kind of did look like he got knocked out. He was subbed out of the game very early and he will enter concussion protocols and won't be available next week. McAndrew and Ben Ainsworth collided and eventually McAndrew was subbed out of the game with a leg injury. The club expect it's a broken fibula, most likely a hairline fracture, which would mean at least 6 weeks out. As the Tigers move it inside the forward 50, there's a marking contest on the 50 metre mark. Ryan Mansell has contested the ball and landed very awkwardly. As you can see, when he stands up, he's extremely wobbly and he's got blood coming out of the nose. He was subbed out due to concussion protocols, so he won't be available this week either. And that's just another injury to the Tigers. Their list is going to be very, very short. So if you're keen for a game, put your hand up. Reef McInnes from the Pies has caught a stray knee from Mark Keane. In slow-mo, it actually does look pretty bad for Mark Keane, but I think in normal speed, it was definitely an accident. McInnes stayed on for a little bit longer and eventually was taken off the ground and took no further part in the game. I doubt he'll be available next week due to concussion protocols. This clip was in my oddities video, but as you can see, Florent has the ball and Mackay's running at him. Florent puts his arm up to fend Mackay off. He actually gets him a little bit higher, which puts Mackay down on the ground. And as he's running back, he's extremely wobbly. I'm very surprised that the Blues didn't do a SCAT-6 test on him, and I just assume he's available next week. Ollie Wines was subbed out with heart palpitations. If you remember, he had this issue a few years back. Perryman from GWS copped some friendly fire in a tackle where he sort of slings himself around and he hits his head on the ruckman's hip. He was fine, he played the rest of the game, but you could see that he was holding at his neck, so he's going to be very sore this week. After Isaac Quainer lands a tackle, you can see that his knee lands on a stud and eventually cuts his knee, and he's holding his knee, which kind of was a bit dangerous for an ACL, but it's nothing more than just a cut and he's probably very sore. The Pies are moving the ball inside their forward 50. As Noble gets the ball, he kicks towards Lockie Schultz, who marks the ball but lands right on top of the ball as he dives for the mark, and I believe he's just winded himself here. He did spend some time on the ground, but he did play the rest of the game. Sin and Warple have met in a fierce contest where Sin has come worse off. It looks like he's possibly dislocated his shoulder or done his AC joint as well. We'll find out later in the week the extent of his injury. Jacob Wiedering copped a hit to his thigh and was eventually subbed out of the game. The club said they would do scans and report back with the injury. As Isaac Rankin is trying to win the game for the Crows, he's run too far as we know, but he's actually also done his hamstring. So depending on the severity that we'll find out this week will depend on how long he's out, but this can be 6+ weeks. And that's it for this week. Thank you so much for watching. This has been a big episode for injuries. As you know, these videos don't usually last this long, so I do appreciate you hanging around if you've made it all the way to the end of the video. A couple little talking topics which I don't usually do at the end of the video, so if you're here, leave a comment below about what you think of this little segment at the end of it. We've seen in the week that Tom Liberatore, his concussion issues have now been cleared. He's available for selection this week, which is great news for him. That could have been a season and I guess a career-ending injury, but he's been able to prove that he's overcome that and he's available. I don't know if we'll see him wearing a helmet or not, but it's probably advisable for him, a larger Caleb Daniel. And also, what are the Richmond Tigers going to do about their list? I think I saw something like 20 odd injuries in their AFL list and 10 on their VFL list. They're actually going to have really big problems. I think they are just hanging out for the mid-season draft to try and get some players in. Are they going to drop down to the bottom of the ladder? I mean, North Melbourne haven't won a game, so I think they've got the wooden spoon lined up. But I think the Richmond Tigers are going to finish in the bottom 3. They just have way too many injuries and it's just really not looking good for them. What are your thoughts on that below? Leave a comment below. Let's have a discussion. Thanks for watching.